You just found out your biggest client is leaving. Your stomach drops. Without thinking, you fire off an angry email to your sales team, slash prices across the board, and start considering laying off half your staff. 3 months later, you realize that client was only 15% of your revenue. Your profit margins are destroyed, and your best employees have already started interviewing elsewhere. This is what happens when you make business decisions on emotion instead of logic. Here's the brutal truth. Most failed businesses don't die because of bad markets or tough competition. They die because the owner made 1 or 2 catastrophic decisions while emotional. A study by CB Insights found that 23% of startups fail due to not having the right team, but dig deeper and you'll find most of those were hiring or firing decisions made in anger, fear, or desperation. Another 18% fail due to pricing and cost issues, almost always the result of panic-driven price cuts or ego-driven expansion. I've seen 7-figure businesses destroyed in a single afternoon because someone made a decision while pissed off. I've watched entrepreneurs torch partnerships, fire key employees, and pivot their entire business model based on feelings, not facts. And here's what nobody tells you. You probably don't even realize when you're doing it. Your brain is incredibly good at rationalizing emotional decisions as logical ones. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to recognize when you're about to make an emotional decision that could cost you everything. More importantly, I'll give you a practical system to make sure your next big decision is based on data and strategy, not fear, anger, or ego. Because the difference between a business that scales and one that crashes often comes down to this one skill: separating your emotions from your decisions. Let's start with the emotional triggers that are probably influencing your business decisions right now, whether you know it or not. There are 5 emotional states that destroy more businesses than anything else. And the scary part? You've probably made decisions in at least 3 of them in the past month. First, anger and resentment. This is the "I'll show them" decision. A client ghosts you after months of work, so you immediately change your entire onboarding process and start requiring 100% payment up front, punishing all future clients for one bad experience. An employee challenges your idea in a meeting, so you cut them out of future decisions or quietly start looking for their replacement. Your competitor launches a feature you were planning, so you abandon your roadmap and rush to copy theirs. Anger makes you reactive instead of strategic. You're not solving problems. You're getting revenge on people who probably don't even know they hurt you. Second, fear and panic. A competitor drops their prices by 30%, and within 24 hours you've matched them without analyzing your margins. You see a negative review online and immediately offer refunds to everyone, even happy customers. One sales quarter misses targets and you're already planning layoffs. Fear makes you move fast, but in the wrong direction. You're making decisions to stop the pain right now, not to build something better long term. The problem is, panic decisions rarely fix the actual problem. They just create new ones. Third, ego and pride. This one is sneaky because it feels like confidence. You launched a new product line that's clearly failing, but you keep dumping money into it because you know it'll work. You refuse to take advice from your team because you're the founder and you've been doing this longer. You turn down a great partnership opportunity because you don't want to split equity or admit you need help. A client asks for something you can't deliver, but you say yes anyway because saying no feels like admitting weakness. Ego tells you that changing your mind is failure. In reality, refusing to change your mind is what kills your business. Fourth, euphoria and overconfidence. You just closed the biggest deal of your career. 2 days later, you've signed a lease on a bigger office, hired 5 people, and committed to a marketing budget that assumes every month will be like this one. One viral post gets you 10,000 new followers, so you quit your other marketing channels and go all in on social media. One successful product launch and suddenly you're planning 3 more without validating demand. Success is actually more dangerous than failure because it makes you feel invincible. You stop asking, "What if this doesn't work?" and start assuming everything you touch turns to gold. Fifth, desperation. This is the quietest killer. Your cash is running low, so you take on any client who will pay, even ones you know will be nightmares. You're behind on hiring, so you lower your standards and bring on someone who seems okay. You need revenue this quarter, so you offer unsustainable discounts or promise features you can't build. Desperation makes you trade long-term survival for short-term relief. And the worst part: desperate decisions usually make you more desperate. Each of these emotional states has one thing in common. They make you optimize for how you feel right now instead of where you want to be in 6 months. Let me show you how to catch yourself before you make these mistakes. Here's what nobody tells you about emotional business decisions. Your brain will lie to you. It'll take a feeling and dress it up as logic. It'll give you 10 rational-sounding reasons why you need to act now. So you need to learn the warning signs that you're not thinking clearly, urgency without deadline. If you feel like you need to decide right now, but there's no actual external deadline forcing you, that's emotion talking. Real urgency has a date attached. "We need to respond to this RFP by Friday" is real. "I need to fire this person today when nothing critical happened today." That's anger. Ask yourself, what specifically happens if I wait 48 hours? If the answer is, "Nothing really. I just feel like I need to do something," you're emotional. Physical tension. Check your body right now. Are your shoulders tight? Jaw clenched? Fists balled up? Heart racing? Your body knows you're emotional before your brain admits it. I learned this the hard way. Every time I made a decision while physically tense, I regretted it within a week. Now, when I notice tension, I literally stand up, walk around, and don't make any decisions until my body has calmed down. Sounds simple, but it saved me hundreds of thousands of dollars. Black and white thinking. Listen to your internal dialogue. If you're using words like always, never, everyone, or no one, you're not being rational. This employee is always screwing up. Really? Always? Or did they make 2 mistakes this month and you're pissed about the recent one? No one wants this product. Or did you just get 3 rejections in a row? Emotional thinking removes nuance. Reality is gray, but emotions are black and white. The decision is about them. If your decision is primarily about proving something, teaching someone a lesson, or showing people they were wrong, you're not making a business decision. You're settling a score. I'm going to launch this just to prove the investors who passed were idiots. I'll show this client what they're missing by raising prices on everyone. The moment you catch yourself thinking, "I'll show them," stop. Business isn't about winning arguments. It's about making money. You can't explain it calmly. Here's a simple test. Try to explain your decision to someone neutral in a calm, steady voice. If you can't get through the explanation without your voice rising, without using emotional language, without needing them to understand how you feel, you're not ready to decide. I use this with my business partner all the time. If I'm pitching an idea and getting heated or defensive when he asks basic questions, that tells me I'm running on emotion, not analysis. You're avoiding data. This is the sneakiest one. When you know the numbers would contradict what you want to do, so you just don't look at them. You want to cut a product line, but you haven't actually checked the profit margins. You want to fire someone, but you haven't reviewed their actual performance metrics. You want to change your pricing, but you haven't surveyed customers or analyzed competitor rates. If you're making a significant decision and actively avoiding looking at relevant data, your emotions are driving. The stranger test. Imagine you had to explain this decision to a complete stranger who has no context about your business, your relationships, or your history. If you can't make the decision sound rational to someone who doesn't share your emotional investment, it's probably not rational. Period. Here's the truth. You will never eliminate emotions from business. You shouldn't even try. Intuition and gut feeling based on experience are valuable. But there's a massive difference between informed intuition and reactive emotion. Intuition says, something feels off here, let me investigate. Emotion says, I'm doing this now because I'm angry, scared, or desperate. So what do you actually do when you catch yourself in one of these emotional states? That's what we need to talk about next. Okay, so you've recognized you're emotional. Now what? Here's the exact system I use, and it saved my business more times than I can count. The 24 to 48 hour rule. This is non-negotiable for any major decision. The moment you recognize you're emotional, you put a mandatory waiting period on the decision. Small decisions, 24 hours minimum. Big decisions like firing someone, changing pricing, or killing a product line, 48 hours minimum. I don't care how right you think you are in the moment. Wait. What's fascinating is that about 60% of the time, after 48 hours you'll either make a completely different decision or realize the thing that felt urgent wasn't actually important at all. Your emotions will tell you that waiting is weakness or that you'll lose momentum. Ignore them. Momentum built on emotional decisions is just speed toward a cliff. Write it down, read it tomorrow. Here's what you do during that waiting period. Take 15 minutes and write out your decision and all your reasons for it. Be brutally honest. Include the emotional reasons. Don't try to hide them. I want to fire Jake because he questioned my strategy in front of the team and it made me look stupid. Write that down. Then, write the business reasons. Jake's performance has declined. He missed 2 deadlines this month. He's affecting team morale. Get it all out. Save the document. Don't send it to anyone. The next day, read it. I guarantee you'll cringe at least once. You'll see sentences that made perfect sense when you were angry, but look completely irrational 24 hours later. If you still agree with everything you wrote and don't feel embarrassed by any of it, then maybe it's a sound decision. The Red Team Method. Find someone you trust, someone who's not emotionally invested in the situation, and ask them to argue against your decision. Not to agree with you, to actively tear your idea apart. I'm thinking about dropping our prices by 40% because competitors are cheaper. Your job is to tell me why that's stupid. A good Red Team person will ask questions like, what are your actual margins? How much volume increase do you need to break even? What if customers assume you're desperate? What if competitors just match you again? If you get defensive during this conversation, if you find yourself saying, yeah, but you don't understand, that's a sign you're still too emotional. Keep waiting. Force yourself to pull data. Before any significant decision, you need 3 numbers minimum. Not feelings, not assumptions, actual numbers. Want to fire someone? Pull their performance metrics for the last 6 months, not just your memory of last week. Want to change pricing? Get actual data on competitor pricing, your current margins, and customer willingness to pay surveys if possible. Want to kill a product? Look at revenue, profit margins, customer acquisition cost, and lifetime value. Here's the rule. If you're making a decision that could cost you more than $5,000 and you haven't looked at relevant data, you're being emotional. Period. And here's the thing. Sometimes the data will confirm your gut feeling. Great. Now you have evidence. But sometimes the data will completely contradict what you feel, and that's when you know you were about to make a massive mistake. The cost of being wrong. Before you commit, ask yourself this specific question. If I'm wrong about this decision, what's the worst-case scenario and can the business survive it? Be specific. If I fire this person and I'm wrong, I'll need to rehire for this role. It'll take 3 months, cost about $30,000 in recruiting and lost productivity, and we might lose the Johnson account. Write that down. Now ask, is the potential upside worth that risk? Sometimes it is. Sometimes you realize the downside is bankruptcy and maybe you should get a second opinion. The 5-question filter. Before any major decision, answer these 5 questions honestly. 1. Can this wait 48 hours without material damage to the business? 2. Have I looked at the relevant data or am I going off feelings? 3. Can I explain this decision calmly to a neutral third party? 4. Am I trying to prove something or solve something? 5. If this fails, can I recover? If you can't answer all 5 confidently, don't decide yet. Look, the system isn't perfect. It won't catch every bad decision, but it'll catch most of them. And in business, avoiding catastrophic mistakes is often more important than making brilliant moves. Now, before you think I'm telling you to ignore your gut completely, let me be clear, there are times when fast decisions based on instinct are absolutely the right move. You just need to know the difference between experienced intuition and raw emotion, when your gut is actually right. If you've been in business for 10 years and something feels off about a deal, that's not random emotion, that's pattern recognition. Your subconscious has processed thousands of similar situations and is flagging something. The difference is this: real intuition is calm. It's a quiet, something's not right here, not a screaming, I need to act now. Intuition says investigate further. Emotion says decide immediately. Intuition is based on experience with similar situations. Emotion is based on how someone made you feel today. If you can point to 3 specific past experiences that match the current situation and explain why those experiences are relevant, that's intuition. If you just feel something without being able to articulate why, wait and gather more information. Crisis decisions. Sometimes you genuinely don't have 48 hours. Your biggest client just called threatening to leave unless you match a competitor's price by end of day. A key employee just quit with 0 notice and you need coverage immediately. The server crashed and customers can't access your product. In true crisis mode, here's what you do. Make the minimum viable decision to stop the bleeding, then revisit it when you're not in crisis mode. Match the competitor's price for that one client today, but don't change your entire pricing strategy. Hire a contractor to cover critical work this week, but don't panic hire a full-time replacement in 3 days. Fix the immediate technical issue, but don't rebuild your entire infrastructure because you're scared. Crisis decisions should be temporary patches, not permanent solutions. The real takeaway. Here's what I need you to understand. Emotions aren't the enemy. They're actually giving you important data. Your anger tells you something matters to you. Your fear tells you there's real risk you need to evaluate. Your frustration tells you a process is broken. The problem isn't feeling these things. The problem is letting them make your decisions for you. Emotions give you the signal. Logic gives you the solution. Learn to separate the two. What to do right now. Think about the last significant business decision you made. Be honest with yourself. Were you emotional when you made it? If yes, what was the emotion? Anger? Fear? Ego? Now think about a decision you're facing right now, or one that's coming up soon. Apply the system we just talked about. Write down the decision and your reasons. Wait 48 hours if possible. Pull the actual data. Run it past someone who'll challenge you. Ask yourself the 5 questions. Your challenge. Next time you feel that rush, that urgency, that absolute certainty that you need to do something right now, I want you to recognize it for what it is. That feeling isn't clarity. It's adrenaline. It's not confidence. It's emotion. And that's your signal to slow down, not speed up. The businesses that win aren't the ones that move fastest. They're the ones that move smartest. Sometimes smart means waiting when every fiber of your being wants to act. If this video saved you from even one emotional decision, it's already paid for itself. Drop a comment and tell me about a time you made an emotional business decision and what it cost you. And if you found this valuable, subscribe because I break down real business mistakes every week. No theory, just what actually happens when you run a company. Now go make better decisions.